What's up, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of the
Geek Buddies! Hey! Time constraints.
There you go. Well, there we go. Let's thank you all so much for joining us here on the Geek Buddies. We got so much to jump into with our end of the week episode here going on in the world of entertainment. Certainly that Avengers Doomsday's cast is a massive thing for us to be breaking down and talking about. We're also going to get into some Snow White drama that's going on, some Harry Potter casting that might be happening, and some big new trailers of the week. We're going to break it all down here on the Geek Buddies. So thank you so much for joining us. Let's introduce ourselves. I am John Rocha, writer, producer, and host here on the Geek Buddies.
I am Michael Vogel, writer and producer of animated TV shows and movies.
And this is Shannon McClung. I'm a television actor and an animation writer, where you can see me right now on Max's The Pit.
Nice. Yeah. So I see that on the Max streaming series. A lot going on Max. People loving that service right now. All right, so we're going to get into things. The way the show works is each of us brings up a geek news item. We talk about it amongst ourselves and then get into our big geek news item. And that's the Avengers Doomsday cast. So if you want to jump to that, the time code is below. You can jump to that now. But if you want to enjoy our dulcet tones talking about three other subjects, we're going to get into it right now. Let's start with the first one here. Let's get into the Snow White situation. We might as well just rip the Band-Aid off that. Snow White. Earlier this week, of course, we know that the film is not doing well at the box office, but earlier this week, a new feature piece at Variety written by Tatiana Siegel, one of the writers I really respect and enjoyed reading. It went into the PR mess behind the scenes that was going on at Disney. It threw Rachel Zegler under the bus for her social media posts, basically blaming her for the film's box office issues. They also mentioned that Mark Platt spoke to her twice after her D23 interview on the red carpet, and then when she posted her Free Palestine comment after the trailer's initial release. They implied that her outspokenness caused an increase in death threats for Gal Gadot during the time that they were making the movie, who had kept her politics to a minimum, they claim. Then when she made a post slamming Donald Trump, they brought in a social media guru after Rachel Zegler's initial pushback on all of it. She did accept the social media guru. But then to add even more to the drama to the situation, Mark Platt's son, the producer of Snow White, Jonah Platt, who hosts a podcast called Being Jewish, went back at someone who claimed that his father was being creepy as hell for visiting a young 20-year-old to tell them to curtail their social media posts. He essentially said, yeah, my dad, the producer of an enormous piece of Disney with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to fly across the country to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics in the middle of promoting the movie, for which she signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid to do publicity for. This is called adult responsibility and accountability, and her actions clearly hurt the film's box office. He has no evidence of that. Free speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in your private employment without repercussions. Tens of thousands of people worked on that film, and she hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires at the risk of all the colleagues and crew and blue-collar workers who depend on that movie to be successful. Narcissism is not something to be coddled or encouraged. And yes, the irony of a Platt saying that. But go ahead, Michael, what are your thoughts on this situation? What are your thoughts on these all the accusations being flung back and forth here?
This is a bunch of people being real stupid. That's what it is. Like, you can argue this anyway. And look, the whole Israel-Palestine thing, like, everybody, guys, the world has not figured Israel and Palestine out in decades.
Yeah.
You are not going to solve this on Twitter. It's not going to happen.
Full disclosure, Michael is Jewish, so, you know, he can speak on these things a little more personally.
Yeah, full disclosure, sure. Michael's Jewish, and he gets in fights with his Jewish parents about it because I think they're wrong too. Like, the whole, like, this is such a mess of an issue, and anyone who is like, if you are for Palestine, then X, if you are for Israel, then this, like, it is way more complicated than that. But all that doesn't matter because that's not why the movie's not doing well. That's why this is stupid. You can argue all day long about should Rachel Zegler feel free to espouse her opinion on Twitter, or if she is cast in a multi-million-dollar movie, should she not? And you can argue the nuances of that all day long. And you can also argue the levels of misogyny to that, because if a man does it, then he is one thing. If a woman does it, she's another thing. Also, if Rachel Zegler had been very pro-Israel, I don't think that Jonathan Platt would be that upset about her post. So the entire thing is whatever. Like, it's just a bunch of people arguing and there's no necessarily right answer. But the only thing that's absolutely true is the movie's not doing great because the movie's not great. The end of the story. Like, I saw Snow White. I had some friends go see it. They really liked it. I was more excited about it. I went to go see it. I think it was not as bad as some other Disney live action remakes. It was also not as good as some Disney live action remakes. I think Rachel Zegler is great. I think her voice is amazing. I think the creepy ass dwarves were not that creepy in the movie. I think beautiful Gal Gadot was creepier than the dwarves. So there's a bunch of things that you can argue about this movie, but the bottom line is it's just not great. And so it's not doing great. Like, people that are not scrolling through Twitter and X all day long don't make their movie-going choices based on one person's tweet and something they said. They go, that looks really fun. I'm going to go see this movie. I heard this wasn't great. I don't want to go see it. That's the end. So I think that this is like one of those prime I do think that people sort of dogpile on Rachel Zegler, and I think it's kind of dumb. She's a kid. She is super young, and you know what young people do? Young people spout their opinions. It's what they've been doing. They did it in the 60s. We do it now. Like, young people are way more vocal about their political views. Older people are like, I'm going to sit back and see how this goes. I've been around for a while. Let her be a kid. Let her do what she's going to do. She's super talented. She's a really good actress. Shannon. And wow. And I think and I just think this entire thing where we're in this phase where somebody said one thing in one tweet, and that's why millions of people decided to sit this movie out, is just the dumbest thing in the world. That's my opinion.
Fair point. Shannon, your thoughts here, as Michael has called out your opinions on Rachel Zegler's acting. What are your thoughts on the entire drama that this has become?
I mean, it seems like Disney lost control of the narrative for this way before. Pretty much the moment that, Peter Dinklage called out, the dwarves aspect, and then people, other representatives from the little people community got on him being like, why would you cost some people from your communities an opportunity? Like, you took away 7 opportunities because of your stance. Like, we're not a monolith. You don't get to speak for everybody. And then, when the photos got out and it showed basically a group of people that are not the dwarves, were never meant to be the dwarves. People online sort of took that and like, this is what they did to the dwarves. This is terrible. There's 8 of them. It's not even 7. Like, I don't even know if that number's right. But from the beginning, they just kind of lost control of this. Did her social media posts help? No, because I do disagree with Vogel that even though my politics probably more align with hers, I think you call out the recently elected president, and you are alienating a part of the audience. I mean, there is a segment of that population that are not going to go see that movie because of her stance. But ultimately, I think Vogel's right. I mean, it doesn't matter at this point. The movie came out. It wasn't good. I don't think Jonah Platt, I think responding to a rando on social media probably isn't the most helpful thing. I also think what he was saying, I'm like, yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, when you are the lead of a giant movie, are you allowed to say whatever you want? Yes, but there are going to be consequences that come along with that. And to say that the box office wasn't affected by some of the things that she said, I would say there is proof. Look at the box office. Like, a whole lot of people didn't go see it.
Are people protesting Robert De Niro movies? Like, is Robert De Niro really
suffering? Night sure didn't do well.
Night didn't do well.
It didn't do well. Sure, but it didn't do well for reasons that are not that. I'm just saying that, like, Robert De Niro has been outspoken for 12 years now, and like said fuck Trump at the Oscars. Like, I'm just like, there's just this thing that happens.
No, there's a double standard. You're right, but it is what is happening though. Like, to say that it didn't affect it is not accurate.
Well, I think what you're saying, Mike, is where I fall too, is that if there's a quality in the movie, that'll override everything. We saw that with X-Men 97, and recently we saw that with Wicked. Both Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande made posts that were supporting the Palestine situation and whatever, but none of that affected the box office of Wicked or the reception of Wicked. It really comes down to the quality of the movie. Now, I hear what you're saying, Shannon. I don't know how you can quantify that because, I mean, you can't poll everybody. Did you really? Were you really going? Are you telling the truth? So it's a bit of in the air, right? But you can't discount it and you can't prove it. So you have to keep it as a possibility for sure. I mean, I think Joan is the last person, any member of the Platt family are the last people to talk about narcissism, for the love of God. But like this thing, but I think him taking the post down, I think that's a powerful move as well. Like he realized, okay, I went too far, shouldn't have said that stuff. I overstepped my boundaries, because I agree. There's more complexity to this issue than just she said this, therefore the box office went into the tank. I also look at this as like Disney, maybe, I'm not saying anything accusatory, but you could possibly think that Disney shook the tree a little bit, went to Variety. Hey, listen, we're going to give you our sources. This is our things on this. You want to write an article about this? And they take the distraction away or the attention away from them at making a bad movie and put it on Rachel Zegler. So they're brand saving by throwing her under the bus. And that doesn't feel good either. But Rachel is going to be fine. She's killing it on Broadway on Romeo and Juliet. She's going to lead and be Evita in the West End production, the London West End production of Evita. So she's going to be fine. And she said, Michael, she's only 23. So in like 3 years, people are going to forget this shit. Yeah. She's going to come back and be a big part of something. Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that, I mean, look, Shannon went to go see Snow White in one of his like nap time movies. He had time to kill. Like if you
I saw it and Alto Nights.
Yes. Oh God. Oh my God. You saw Alto? Oh my God.
But I just think that like and again, there's no way to quantify this, period. Yeah. But if Snow White had come out and it was just by far the best Disney live action remake that had ever been made. Every aspect of it was perfect. Yeah. The critics were like, Rotten Tomatoes critic score was through the roof and like reviews were great, and it tanked.
Yeah.
Then there's an aspect of, well, let's talk about why it tanked, because Disney did everything right. But the fact of the matter is that's just not accurate. That's not true. It is not a great movie. And so, you know, I mean, like there are movies like we talk, like West Side, Steven Spielberg's West Side Story is one that we always bring up. Like people who love Spielberg, people who love West Side Story, everyone's like, that's a great movie. Was that affected by outside things? Maybe. So I just think it's one of those things you can't say that Rachel Zegler is absolutely why this movie is bombing when there are so many other aspects that are just like, it's not that good.
Yeah. No, I don't think there's one thing that made that movie underperform. Again, there was fire on it before, before she, way before D23, I think. But I mean, when you look at like the Rotten Tomatoes, and granted that's just an aggregate, but the critical reception 42%, audience 74%. So there are people that have gone out and liked it. Now, do I think that Gal Gadot was good in it? No, I think she is a very limited actress, and this was not a good showcase for her. I think Rachel Zegler was the best part. Maybe, but it's not a good movie. I mean, I think she has an incredible voice. I don't think she is the strongest performer in this. I think she was probably much better in West Side Story. But you can't look at any one thing and say that you can't pin it on one thing. Like it is an amalgamation of wrong turns that ultimately led to this underperforming.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Yeah, across the board, I agree with that 100%. Let's move on to this other story here with Nick Frost. This is actually possibly going to happen. Nick Frost as Hagrid. This was reported by Deadline just a couple of days ago. Of course, we all know him from his turns in the Edgar Wright's Cornetto trilogy there, all those movies he was a part of. But there is a deal being worked on where he will be replacing the late, great Robbie Coltrane to play Hagrid, carry on the legacy of Hagrid in the Harry Potter TV series. HBO declined comment on this and just said, we appreciate that such a high profile series will draw a lot of rumors and speculation. This kind of popped up because of his own, speaking of social media, his own social media feed on Instagram when he posted a message. What a bloody lovely day. It's happening. It's actually happening. Stay cool. So Shannon McClung, I go to you first. Do you like this casting? Does this make sense? Is he carrying on the legacy here of Robbie Coltrane?
again, for a series that I do not care about, I think Robbie Coltrane as Hagrid is a great choice.
Well,
Even for our podcast listeners, Johnny put up a graphic that had Robbie Coltrane and his Hagrid getup next to a bearded Nick Frost, and I mean, they look like they are very much cut from the same cloth. What's going to be interesting is Robbie Coltrane was a big guy. I mean, he was like 6'1", 6'2". Nick Frost is a little guy. He's like about my height. So again, you know, Hagrid has always been. They've always been able to enhance him. But it'll be interesting to see how they're going to make Nick Frost look so big next to these children. But again, like the show itself, I mean, again, I'm not that interested. I do think their casting choices are inspired, though, between John Lithgow and Nick Frost.
Okay. Michael, your thoughts on this? Do you like this? Does it make sense? And how are they going to get a 5'7" man to look 6'5"? Your thoughts on this?
first of all, I think it'd be hilarious if his tweet was just about like the donut sign was like hot now. And he was really excited that, you know, like he was like, oh, the donuts are hot now. It's happening. Stay cool. I finally got there on time. And it had nothing to do with this at all.
The Krispy Kreme light was on.
The Krispy Kreme light was on and Buddy was ready to go. But no, Shannon's, I mean, like, I'm definitely more interested in this show than Shannon is, since he lets us know every single time we bring it up that he has zero interest in it. I am interested in it. Just, I think Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling aside, Harry Potter is a massive IP. You know, we're about to get a third section of a Universal park that is dedicated to Harry Potter with the Ministry of Magic ride at Epic Universe. Like, this is an IP that keeps going. Like, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child is currently playing at the Pantages here in LA, and people are going to see it and really, really enjoying it. Like, despite J.K. Rowling's horribleness, the Harry Potter franchise does live on. And I do think that all the casting choices that they have made thus far that are confirmed are inspired, and some of the casting choices that they've made that are rumored are inspired. I mean, I do think casting a black guy as Snape is going to be problematic and down the road in some of the flashbacks and some of the ways that they are going to have to deal with that. So, like, you're just adding a layer that is going to be a little bit challenging, but we'll see how they do. But Hagrid is definitely one of those roles that, as much as Robbie Coltrane is beloved in the 8 movies, there's a lot more going on with Hagrid in the books that sort of gets slimmed down when you're really focused on Harry and Voldemort and Ron and Hermione. And so I do think that Nick Frost is great casting, and I think that if they do make good on their promise, that this series is really going to deliver on a lot of the stuff that kind of got slimmed down for the movies. He's going to have a lot of really interesting stuff to do, and we're going to get a deeper relationship with him as Hagrid than we got with Robbie Coltrane. So I think it's smart. I think it's good. And I'm really curious to see what this show is. Like, I think it's going to be, it's either going to sort of be so, again, sort of to the Rachel Zegler of it all, it's either going to be so good that everyone's like, fuck, this is great. Like, J.K. Rowling, fuck her, but like, this is a great show. Or it's going to be somewhere in the middle, and then everyone's going to debate, is it not doing well because of this, or is it not doing well because of J.K. Rowling?
Yeah. Then eventually J.K. is going to throw everybody under the bus 10 years from now, like she just did the 3 main actors from the past.
Yeah, man.
Films. Yeah, I know.
Like, you know what? It's like her opinions aside, even though I think they're horrible, the lack of grace that woman has on social media, the way that she throws people under the bus, her snarky ass bullshit, like it just.
She doesn't come from nobility. She doesn't come from any high upbringing. So of course she's gonna act a little low rent when she wants to. But look, I love this idea. I love this idea because I love Nick Frost's energy. I even enjoy Paul, which he co-wrote, I think. And so like I know. I'm one of the select few that enjoys it because I just like his energy, and I think he's a perfect choice for Hagrid. You want to have someone who can be vulnerable and connect with the kids, but also and be soft with the animals and have these fantastical things, but also when the moment comes, be big and burly and intimidating, right? If you can't get Mark Addy, Nick Frost is a great choice to get to be a part of this thing. And I think he even brings a little bit more vulnerability and sympathy and connectability than Mark Addy would. So I like this choice. It makes sense. And as Shannon pointed out, when you put them up on the screen, they look like brothers. So it would make absolute sense that he would slide in. and take the role. I'm curious to see what the kid's going to look like when they cast him, who the kids are going to be, and who Sirius is going to be and who Voldemort is going to be. That's going to be the next things to see when the casting starts getting rolled out here, who are playing these characters. And we might not even hear about Sirius or Voldemort for a while, but so far, as Shannon said, the casting has been pretty inspired. So I like this.
I think that because I think one of the things that Chris Columbus did that he does not get enough credit for. I mean, the whole team, but Chris Columbus, like Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint.
Yeah,
like
great cast.
You could not have cast three better people.
Yeah.
Period. Like they owned that role. And so I think those three are the ones, like all of these other, John Lithgow was Dumbledore, like, oh, this is all great. But like finding three kids that are going to embody those three the way those three did, like that's going to be the tough, that's a tall order.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, guys, I got to say something real quick before we move on with the show. You two have been talking about Magic Mind for the last couple of weeks. I finally got around to trying this out because you guys know I'm busy and constantly hosting shows, constantly working on stuff. It can get a bit overwhelming. So I finally tried this out for the last couple of weeks, and it's been pretty fantastic. It's got a great flavor, great taste. You knock it down in the morning, and like within a few minutes, I'm ready to go and tackle the day. So I've been really impressed with what Magic Mind has done for me in my life. Shannon, you were talking about it with your acting class. Michael, you were talking about it when you get to writing and working on stuff. And so for me, I really enjoy that we have this thing we can rely on as a mental performance shot to get us going for those of us who are busy. And it has so much involved inside the combination that I'm such a big proponent of. I can't encourage you all to try Magic Mind enough. It is not a quick fix. It's just working together. It's time-released caffeine that gets you going in the moments that you need to get it going when you're trying to do things all the time in your life here. And it was created by a scientific advisory board of doctors. So, a lot of intelligent people were involved in the creation of it all. And so, and it's been worked on for over 10 years. So that's a positive thing overall. There's been over 200 scientific studies. I know some people are like, well, what do the Yelp reviews say? What do the Amazon reviews say? Well, if 200 scientific studies tell you that this is the way, that this is something you should try, then you should absolutely give it a shot and see what you think for yourself. Plus, they donate 5 cents of each of the bottles sold to mental health charities that help U.S. homeless communities. And I'm a big proponent of helping people with mental health, having suffered it myself, still suffering it myself. I am on top of or supportive of people doing things for mental health stuff. So it's a fantastic thing. And now we have a limited offer going on for you guys. If you want to take a chance on Magic Mind, you have a limited offer you can use now that gets you up to 48% off your first subscription or 20% off one-time purchases with code Buddies20 at checkout. You can claim it at www.magicmind.com/BUDDIES. Try it out, people. Please trust us. All right, Shannon, let's get into some trailers here. What do you got?
We got trailers. Our first one, we've been reviewing Daredevil Born Again. Believe it or not, it's coming down to the last few episodes, but when it is done, we will be getting the second and final season of Andor, and we just got the full trailer. I mean, I don't even think it clocks in at 2 minutes, but at this point, I mean, if you're not on board this show, we don't have the same taste, I don't think. The new trailer, what Andor did was just really connected to kind of that older audience that may not have connected with the prequels as much. That's not to say that people who like the prequels didn't like Andor, but the folks that were around for when those original Star Wars movies came out in the theaters, Andor really just got its hooks in us. I mean, and it has appealed across the board. Like, I know when it came out, it may not have had the biggest numbers, but it seemed like a show that more and more people saw. It is one of the benefits of streaming is that it's there, and people were able to come in and just go, episode 1 through 12. This last trailer, we get K2SO back, we get director Krennic back. It just looks so good. We get Stellan Skarsgård. I mean, it's just such an exciting show to exist. And even though it is the last season, knowing that it's going to run up right to the beginning of Rogue One, I just thought this trailer was great. But Johnny, I'll throw it over to you first. What did you think of our latest look at Andor Season 2?
I mean, you guys know I was an early fan of this series, and I can't wait to see what Season 2 is going to bring us. And This was the right trailer. A lot of people had issues with that last trailer because of the Steve Earle song that was playing. Some people felt it hung a lantern too much with the lyrics that were too on the nose. I get it. I liked it. I didn't mind it, but I know some people did. So how do you respond to that? You deliver an even more badass trailer with some incredible footage. As you said, Shannon, it's only a minute and a half, which is crazy. And then you bring that music in that is from the series to get you really in the mood. And the overall energy of this one is much more about fighting against the Empire, fighting against the rebellion, and we're touching base with the Ferrex crew, seeing them on that agriculture planet, and we're hearing the voiceovers like, it's going to burn brightly once we explode this stuff. We have Saw Gerrera going crazy. It's time to win, all that kind of stuff. And Bix even saying, I don't want to sacrifice everything if we're not going to be able to get it done. And so you see that the stakes are raising higher and higher. Plus, Deidre, is she getting choked by Vader or the Emperor? Is that a panic attack? What is that with that scene? More with Mon Mothma confronting the Galactic Senate. And we have more going on here with Cassian Andor seemingly taking the position of Luthen Rael, because I have a feeling he's going to die somewhere in these episodes. So you got a much fuller picture of what these 12 episodes are going to be in season 2. So I thoroughly, thoroughly love the trailer.
Mikey, do you think this last trailer burned brightly?
I was good with the last trailer. I thought that song was great. I think people who get mad about like modern music and Star Wars trailers are grumpy, and you need to stop being grumpy. But this was a great trailer. It's going to be awesome. I think what's going to be really great about this is that through Andor, because like even Gilroy came out and said this, and a couple other people, like you're going to get done with this season of Andor, and you go right into Rogue One. Like you go right into Rogue One, and then Rogue One, as we know, goes right into A New Hope. So we're getting the full scope of the build up to this rebellion. Like we're going from Cassian Andor sort of being on this planet, getting pulled in to this one pocket of the rebellion, and we're watching it become more and more organized, become bigger and bigger, leading up to Rogue One. And I think that's cool. And like even in this trailer, like with Mon Mothma facing off against the Galactic Senate, like if you know your Star Wars history, like some of us nerds do, that's her, like that's the Gorman massacre, which is something that we're going to see in this season, where she sort of like goes up and actually fully like blames Palpatine, and then like gets out of there, and the Rebels crew in the animated series has to help her get out of there. So like this is where it starts to intersect with the Star Wars universe and the buildup of the rebellion that we know, but doing it in a really personal way, in a very, very adult story. So yeah, Andor is great. Like, I mean, Andor, the first season is powerful. From what everyone has said, this second season is where it just like, you thought season 1 was good, get ready. So yeah, I can't wait for this. And we've talked about this already. Like some people are frustrated that they're sort of dropping chunks as opposed to giving us like a full rollout week by week. But like for me, several weeks of Star Wars movies, I'm fully in. Like I think it's going to be a really fun, wild ride.
Well, the first 3 episodes of Andor Season 2 drop on April 22nd. That brings us to our next trailer. It's our second look at Final Destination Bloodlines. We get a little bit more in that we find out that the folks that Death is going after this time, they are the descendants of someone, Grandma Iris, who basically had a premonition back in like the late 50s, early 60s at a giant restaurant in the sky, and saved a lot of people that were not meant to be saved. Again, for lack of a better term, the kills in this are always super creative. Like we see a broken piece of glass go into a big tray of ice. How's that going to play out? It is like watching a Rube Goldberg machine of death. Mikey, I'll throw it over to you first. What did you think of our second look at Final Destination Bloodlines?
This trailer was very stressful. On every level, this was a stressful trailer. Final Destination here's the thing about Final Destination that's great as a franchise is every single one of us has driven down the freeway and gotten behind a car with a truck with a bunch of logs in it and said, I got to get the fuck out of like I got to move immediately.
Right. Because
fuck this. And we've all done it, and then we think I'm a fucking idiot. This is stupid. That's not really going to happen. That being said, I'm gonna get out of here right now. Like this was that. I'm never gonna look at a fucking tray of ice again and not go, is there a gloss in there? Like, it's just, yes, the kills are very creative, but they're also the kinds of kills. Like, I don't walk out and go, I'm afraid that a guy in a hockey mask is hiding in my courtyard. But like the kills in Final Destination put me on a constant alert that like after I see this trailer, after I see this movie, for like a good like 2 to 3 weeks, I'm be like, is there a rake anywhere? Because if there's a rake anywhere, I am not into this. Like that. So it was a very stressful trailer. It looked good. I'm gonna go see it. I'm in.
Johnny,
Yeah.
this is the latest installment. It's been a minute since we've gotten one of these. These typically come out in the fall, maybe in the spring. This one is right at the beginning of summer, and it's also, I believe, it's the last performance of Tony Todd. So
it is.
They're clearly feeling strong about this. What did you think of our second look at Final Destination: Bloodlines?
Listen, I loved the teaser. And I was looking forward to this one, and I did a reaction to this one, and I loved it, top to bottom. Because not just because of the kills, but also the fact that they are making allusions to all the different installments. And for those of us who are massive Final Destination fans and seen every single one of these things and remember the kills, there was so much in the flipping of the book that you're like, oh my God, there's a plane. Oh my God, there's this. So it was a great trailer that honored the people who've been watching every single installment, but also gave enough fresh stuff here that if you're like a newer fan, you're like, okay, let's see what this is going to be like. Let's see what this is. And I think I'm going to add another thing to Michael. He makes a great point. Like, these kills in the movies are regular everyday things that just go wrong, which is why it messes you up, right? Like, I sit in a drive-through, I am always looking behind in my rearview mirror that no big thing is coming tumbling down a hill to hit me. I don't go near barbed wire fences that are out in the middle of, farms or whatever. And I sure as hell drive around those motherfucking logs. And I jump through elevator doors now. I don't just walk because you never know what's going to happen. So, but yeah, Tony Todd, and I like the actors involved in this, and I like the legacy that they're playing with. So I hope this is a great one. And you're right, Shannon, putting it at the beginning of the summer shows a little confidence in this. So I hope it is good. And it was the second highest horror watched movie trailer ever. That's incredible.
When I was a kid, me and my friends like snuck into an area of a neighborhood we weren't supposed to be in, and there was like a giant barbed wire fence. And my friend, I made it over fine, but my friend he slipped and his knee got caught, and he hung for like a split second, just being held by the thing before like he fell. Then his leg was bleeding. That moment of him hanging there by his leg caught in the barbed wire before he fell will haunt me till my dying day. It's just anytime I'll be driving down the freeway, I see a barbed wire, I'm like, no, ma'am.
Well, Final Destination: Bloodlines comes out May 16th. That brings us to our last trailer. On the Geek Buddies, we cover a lot of geeky stuff. You know, we love our DC, we love our Star Wars, we love our Marvel, despite what these two grumpy pants are going to say in about 5 minutes. But also, we are also film geeks, and that's why we're talking about the trailer for One Battle After Another. This is the latest from Paul Thomas Anderson. This one is starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Benicio del Toro, Sean Penn, Regina Hall, Teyana Taylor. This is about a group of revolutionaries. I believe it's in the mid-'80s, and what happens when a enemy that they thought they had defeated comes back. I'm not always the biggest Paul Thomas Anderson fan, but I am a big Leonardo DiCaprio fan, and his chemistry with Benicio del Toro in this looks very, very fun, very, very entertaining. Johnny, you are our resident cinephile. What did you think of our first look at One Battle After Another?
I think we're all pretty good cinephiles, but thank you, Shannon. And I'll say this, I'm with you. The latest outputs of PTA hasn't been the best for me. I didn't like Licorice Pizza. I haven't been an Inherent Vice fan, but I love this trailer. Also, I didn't like Leo and Killers of the Flower Moon playing a low-level person. This is the kind of Leo low-level that I can get behind and believe. And I like the comedic beats. Like Viva la Revolution at the end, hilarious stuff. Him and Benicio, him being his sensei, all of that. This is so perfect. And for those of us who grew up in the 80s, these kind of crazy people, we actually saw in our communities walking around at the video store, at the 7-Eleven. So the fact that they're making them part of some kind of revolution here works so well. I mean, the shot of that pregnant woman shooting the M16 like crazy. Like, there's so many images here that are fantastic and exciting and enjoyable. And where this has a little bit of the energy of Inherent Vice, this looks to be a better film than Inherent Vice. And I like that it's a bit out there. So I'm 100% on board. Loved the energy of it all, and can't wait to see what we're going to get, because I have a feeling it's going to be a way out there movie, like a wacky movie. So,
Mikey, is your favorite low-level Leo the one that you saw in one battle after another?
I think this is a good trailer.
Oh,
but Paul, I see the word Paul Thomas Anderson, and I'm like, okay, okay. Even like definitely more recent Paul Thomas Anderson, but really, if I'm being honest, Paul Thomas Anderson in general.
yeah.
Like just just kind of like, okay, I get what this is, but it's never quite been my jam. So like this trailer, like, love the cast. Yes, really funny. Like I'm like, yeah, this is a great, well-cut trailer. But it's just like, I'm like, okay, we'll see. That's kind of like, it's like, what's his face who directed Long Legs? Like it's
Osgood
Yep. Perkins. Yeah.
Yep. There's just certain names that I'm like, even when I see the trailer, I'm like, okay, that's kind of where I landed on this one.
I mean, I will take the monkey over licorice pizza any day.
Oh, 1,000,000%. And Long Legs, for God's sakes. Yeah.
But speaking of release dates, this one is coming out at the end of September. So, normally whenever Paul Thomas Anderson directs a movie, it is automatically in contention for Best Picture. The fact that it's coming out not even in like October, it's like, ooh, late September. Let's see what happens. So September 26th is when the latest opus from Paul Thomas Anderson comes out in theaters.
It got some mixed reactions, so I think the trailer from screenings in Vegas. So I think the trailer is to kind of, get ahead of that and let people see what.
Yeah, people saw it in Vegas and they went, okay.
There you go.
Maybe this ain't a battle worth fighting over.
It's one battle too many.
Bravo, Johnny. That was a good one.
All right. Well, thank you. All right, let's get into it. Let's get into the big one. There it is. Avengers Doomsday. It happened. The cast list was announced. 27 members of this cast list over a 5.5-hour live stream announcement was revealed here just the other day. It snagged as Deadline is reporting, the live stream has now snagged 275 million digital views across its one, with 3.1 million social mentions, more than 5 times the social volume that last year's Deadpool and Wolverine Super Bowl trailer did, which is pretty amazing. Fans waited as much as 15 minutes in between the camera finally moving and revealing a new name. We got a good chunk of the OG X-Men. We got Namor coming back. We got Simu Liu coming back. We got Letitia Wright coming back. Tom Hiddleston is apparently back with Loki. And we had a whole bunch of people involved in this one. No Tom Holland, no Halle Berry, no Famke Janssen, no Anna Paquin, no Ryan Reynolds, no Hugh Jackman, no Chris Evans, and no Haley Atwell. But hey, we got ourselves Channing Tatum coming back to play Gambit. So, oh joy. Michael, I'll go to you first. Well, actually, should we go? You know what? Let's go to Shannon first, since Michael and I are probably on the same page about this. Shannon, did you like it? Did you think this work was as effective? And are you excited now after this announcement of 27 cast members for Doomsday?
So in the past, Marvel has had some big events where they've been able to announce their upcoming slate of movies, a new cast member, someone who's going to be playing a new hero. Like I come to, think about the El Capitan one where they introduced Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa, and that's where they talked about Captain America Civil War. Like they were unveiling a lot of kind of phase 3. They were going to do something, and having a live stream where you're just seeing the backs of a bunch of chairs, that didn't upset me. I was kind of like, oh, okay. Like once they went from Chris Hemsworth over to Vanessa Kirby, it's kind of like, oh, okay, that's what they're going to do. Now I got it. Now I don't have to be glued to this. It's going to be very easy to go on Instagram, to go onto their stories and just see, to see the people who got really, disagreeable about this, I thought was really, really curious because I wasn't on the show on Wednesday. I did pull it up and I was like, oh, like we had a text thread going already, but then to actually hear the intonations of the dissatisfaction amongst my two co-hosts, I was like, well, this is very entertaining. In terms of how they did it, look, they were going to do something.
Yeah.
I had no issue with this. It was kind of like, okay, you know, you probably don't have. I highly doubt all 27 of these people are going to be in one scene. So the idea that you're going to be able to get all of them together for a big promotional event, it was probably a bit too big of a hill to climb. So watching the chairs, I mean, it was fun. It was something that I checked in. Like I was at acting class in the morning doing my great lines with Glengarry Glen Ross. And in between, I'm kind of like, oh, hey, somebody new. In terms of the people, sorry, I'm going to put my hand up. So my stupid camera. There it goes. Sorry. But in terms of the people that they announced, there were some surprising omissions. And I know they've come out and basically said, like, this isn't it. Like, we're going to say more. I do wonder if the folks that they announce or if these are going to be the ones that would be the most difficult to hide. If it whether it would be in marketing, like I know they said they're going to be doing a lot of soundstage shooting to kind of cut down on the leaks, but at some point they probably might have to go outside. But the lack of Mark Ruffalo, I found really surprising. Yeah. The lack of Tom Holland, Hugh Jackman, like the fact that they introduced all these former X-Men and Hugh Jackman was not a part of it. I was like, that's really interesting. There were some ones that were expected. Pretty much the cast of the Thunderbolts. The cast of Fantastic Four, knowing that they're going to have some sort of Wakandan representation, both with Letitia Wright and Winston Duke. I mean, I'm excited to see the movie. Do I think it's going to work? I mean, it will really depend on this, you know, idea that has gotten everyone so jazzed that they had to restructure some things. I'm curious to see how it's going to work out. And again, the fact that you got Alan Cumming to come back, who talked about how much he did not like being in that makeup and was allegedly one of the reasons he did not come back for the third X-Men. I'm curious. And again, like I like a big splashy announcement. Was this a big splash or was it one long little splash? I was happy with both of them. And again, I got a lot of entertainment out of listening to you two, especially as the ship started to right itself. We're like, oh, okay, I guess this is okay. Very entertaining.
Michael, your thoughts on that? Picking up what Shannon was alluding to.
Well, yeah, look, I mean, I am absolutely guilty of what most of Twitter did, but you have to give credit where credit is due. Is that like we knew that there was going to be a big announcement. To Shannon's point, we've sort of been trained that when Marvel says they're going to make a big announcement, they do something big. And so when this happened and there was a chair, and then 12 minutes later there was another chair, I, in real time, like a lot of people on Twitter, like, what the fuck is this? Is this what this is it? This is what they're doing? Like, I was expecting something huge. Like, I don't know. And so I was frustrated. But as the day went on, particularly when Johnny and I did the Daredevil review, and as we're doing it, I had YouTube open on another screen. And so as he would be talking, I would hear the music swell and I would cut over to see who the chair was. And I was like, well, fuck me, I'm doing it. And then it was like after that I kind of realized, well, and then and I think I even tweeted this, like, then I started getting text messages. And I definitely got text messages from people that were like, this is stupid. Marvel is desperate. What the fuck are they doing? But I was getting text messages from, and we always talk about this, I was getting text messages from non-geeky friends. I was getting text messages from people who do not go to every Marvel movie. And they were like, so wait, the X-Men are in this? And I was like, oh shit, Marvel, it's almost like, by taking the amount of time they took, they basically owned the entire day. Like, had they just announced, if they had an image of 27 people or done like a 1-minute video that was a compilation of all these characters, we still would have talked about it all day. But like by taking that amount of time, we all sat there and like, yes, we did other things and I ran some errands and did this, but just like Shannon, I was like, oh, music swelling. Oh, yeah. So they did it. Now, I do think what's more curious than who is cast, I mean, we can talk about the X-Men of it all, but like we kind of already assumed that was happening, is like Shannon said, the people that aren't. Obviously, there's a spider issue. Like is Tom Holland in this movie? Is he not in this movie because Spider-Man 4 is coming out between this and Secret Wars? Are Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire coming back? If all the X-Men are coming back, it feels like they are. We know, based on Deadpool and Wolverine, we know that Deadpool needs to cry in Thor's arms at some point. Are Wolverine and Deadpool not coming in until Secret Wars? Like, so there's lots of questions of that. But then there's also like Doctor Strange and Clea, who are apparently off dealing with incursions, which seems like this is what this would be about. Star-Lord, who is on Earth now, and then all of the characters that are ultimately going to be Young Avengers / champions. So there's still a big thing, and it is like I've seen a lot of people with 27 cast members. You're like, this already is a huge movie. Is this too many people? And then on the other hand, I'm like, but also what about the other people that I want in this movie? Which Captain Marvel, even like both Teyonah Parris and Lashana Lynch. Particularly, not that I think that Teyonah Parris and Lashana Lynch are the most important characters in the Marvel universe, but as far as the X-Men being in this movie, Lashana Lynch and Teyonah Parris actually are pretty important because they are both with Beast. Last we saw him in the X-Mansion. So them not being included was actually pretty curious. So there's a lot of questions that this raises, but to Marvel's credit, the questions that are being raised are causing more excitement than concern. Absolutely, there's people that are like, including the old school X-Men is a desperate move by Marvel because they're trying to get this in the same way that people think that Robert Downey Jr. coming in as Dr. Doom is desperate on their part. And there's truth to the fact that Marvel is definitely on their heels in a way they've never been before. The pressure on this movie to be as good as Infinity War is high, and the lead up to this is nowhere near as good as Infinity War. So they've got a lot to do, but I do think ultimately their announcement was very successful in the same way that Robert Downey Jr. was, that even though it has its naysayers, it definitely has people talking, and it's definitely eventized this movie in a way that it wasn't before.
Yeah, I would say those I said like we said earlier with the Rachel Zegler situation, two things can be true at once, right? One, I think this was a horrible way to do this, but you can't argue its success. You can't argue that people are talking about it. 275 million views on the thing overall from across social media interactions, blowing away the Wolverine and Deadpool trailer from last year that was so massive. Or 2 years ago. That makes all the sense in the world how they did it in terms of the reaction. So maybe they are geniuses for doing it this way. But I agree with you, Mike. The ramp up has not been good. And certainly dropping it the next day after 2 episodes of Deadpool and Wolverine, after Daredevil Born Again, after Captain America not doing so well. I mean, there's just these things you go, okay, so they're trying to reframe the narrative, but also you can't remove the fact that they don't want anything to be spoiled. So they wanted to get ahead of some of the leaks and what have you by revealing the cast, which I totally understand. The thing that makes me concerned is Jeff last night on the hot mic said that according to his sources, the script still isn't locked. And so they're still working out deals with who is going to appear, who is not going to appear. And if that's true, that means they're probably holding out lines and they're going to shift lines around and try to make it all work. And so already you can see they're just trying to, as you said, Michael, eventize the movie, but the buildup hasn't been that strong. This helps people get excited, but really this will mean nothing if you go see the movie and it's not that good or it's middling, and I think that's the danger when you have the hubris to run a 5.5-hour announcement and what it could lead to if the movie isn't good. Then people look back on this and destroy them for it even more. So
sure. I mean, it is hubris, but also it's like there's no other choice. I mean, kind of to your point, like I think you are right that they are well aware of the fact that you're not going to have particularly the X-Men, the Fox X-Men on any soundstage anywhere. And we're like with Infinity, with Endgame, we knew time travel was going to be a part of it early on because we saw them in their old school outfits. Like there's just certain things like if you see Ian McKellen, you're like, well, shit, I know what this is. So I think there was a need to get in front of it. And so they did that. I think they are everyone is well aware of the fact that when your script isn't locked, you're fucked.
Yeah.
But they're also like, we got to release this movie when we're releasing this movie. Like there's you kind of end up in these situations where you're like, well, yeah, is this ideal? No. I hope we fucking figure this out. And so, yeah, that is a little bit where they are right now. And I think, and there's all this other, like the Russo brothers, the reception to the Electric State probably isn't helping. Like, there's just like, this is a recipe for, I got in an argument with somebody and I am usually the voice of like hopefulness and optimism. And here I am. I'm like, look, I love Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars. I understand that when you're adapting that, it makes sense that you would use the X-Men because we need heroes from another universe that's collapsing that is going to make the stakes real. So I think there's a lot of reasons why the choices make sense.
Right.
And I am hopeful that there is a path to this being awesome. Will they hit that path?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's less certain. I mean, I was convinced that Infinity War wasn't going to be able to land the plane just because, even though I loved everything leading up to it, I was like, this is too massive. There's no way they're going to do it. The fact that we actually got an Infinity War and an Endgame that are as good as they are has spoiled us because there's really no reason that those two should be as good as they are. Like, it's just like, it's amazing that we got those, and the chances of us getting something on that level again that is that solid, it's a slim chance, but who knows? Maybe we're going to do it.
Yeah. Shannon, your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I mean, a couple of things. I mean, as far as the script not being locked, with this type of film, I mean, things are constantly being changed. So, whether a script is locked or not, I mean, it kind of depends on the size of the project. Now, I know a lot of times, like when I would be writing things for Vogel, we were dealing with, much shorter scripts. But even when it was locked, things still got changed in the record. I mean, Mike would have an idea and be like, hey, so-and-so, say this, or he'd change a line on the fly. As far as the script being locked and them still trying to figure out who's going to be in the movie, that's a little concerning. And in terms of the Russo brothers coming off of their streak at Marvel, they were going to be able to write their own ticket. And between, what was it, Cherry, the Gray Man, and the Electric State, I think they've kind of come to the end of that road. Cherry was not a big budget film, but the Gray Man, very expensive. The Electric State, way more expensive. It seems like the Russo brothers are the best when they have someone to report to. And going in and doing those next three movies, even the Gray Man coming off, Electric State coming off of Gray Man, they probably weren't having to answer to people the way they had to answer to Feige and the rest of his team at Marvel. And hopefully that's the situation that we're going to have. Like, I know there have been reports that like Feige was concerned, but it's too late to pull him off. And it's like, I don't necessarily agree with that because they have worked together very successfully 4 times. And I think they don't come back. I mean, obviously they're making a lot of money. I don't think they come back into a situation they don't want to be in. Like, this is something that I think they wanted to do, even with it's not even an underperformance because it's Netflix, it's not box office. Even with the reception to the Electric State, they could still go anywhere and do almost anything. They're probably not going to get $300 million again, but they still probably could have done anything. So for them to come back for this idea to ignite and excite everyone across the board to where they were willing to change their plans, that still makes me hopeful. I mean, again, this is a huge undertaking. But at this point, I'm erring on the side of faith.
I think they both need each other. I think Marvel needs the Russos and the Russos need Marvel right now. And if that is going to work, that is going to have to be the thing that they rely on the most, the foundational thing, because the Russos coming off a bunch of losses, Marvel, bit of a spotty track record recently. I think they need each other now. And hopefully that brings out the best. Sometimes when you're cornered as an artist or as a creative, you are more inspired from a place of wanting to prove yourself than you are if you're soft and getting $300 million and just getting like everything you want. There's something about challenging you creatively that can bring out the best in you. And you hope that's what's going to happen with the Russo brothers and with the script that Marcus is writing and with Feige watching over them, because the rumors are that he's apparently going to watch over them in ways he hadn't watched over them before. So I'm hoping, I'm with you.
That doesn't sound creepy.
Well, fair point. I'm
I'm
hoping
gonna
like
watch
Shannon-
you in ways I've never watched you before.
Jonah Platt incoming.
Oh,
Yeah,
I do think one of the I know we have to wrap up, but one of the things
Yeah.
with the cast announcement that I'm interested in, X-Men aside,
Yeah.
is trying to figure out the groupings. Because like the way you do a movie like this is you group people. So like Infinity War had
Yeah.
Spidey and Doctor Strange and Tony up with the Guardians. And then, you know, you had like the Cap and Black Widow. Yeah, Cap and Black Widow and everybody here going to Wakanda. And you had Thor with Rocket and Groot. And so you sort of did that. And it does seem like post Thunderbolts, the Thunderbolts are officially a team of in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And then you also have Sam with Joaquin Torres kind of putting together his team. Maybe that is Thor and Shang-Chi.
Right.
And then is what like do Shuri and the Wakandans factor into that? Are they their own thing? And then you have the Fantastic Four, and like, are the Fantastic Four coming to our universe at the end of their movie, or is them coming to our universe part of this movie in the same way that the X-Men? So are we going to have like 3 universes colliding? So I do think that there is a lot to sort of conjecture about, and then assuming that there's other surprises and other cast members that we haven't seen yet. So it's going to be really interesting.
I mean, Namor is probably with the Wakandans.
Yeah.
I sort of put M'Baku, Shuri, and Namor together as a chunk that could move this way or be their own thing.
And it would be great for them to come across the Fantastic Four so Namor could meet Sue Storm.
Hey-o.
Yes. I think that Sue Storm and Namor having something is probably a high likelihood.
Yeah. And they'll probably run across a T'Challa or T'Chaka or whatever it is in Secret Wars, or maybe even in Doomsday it's hinted at or something. So we'll see with that. But I mean, this is a lot when this film is supposed to come out May of 2026 and we are in March of 2025. That to me makes me a little trepidatious with the CGI, whatever is going to ground based. So it's interesting situations now because you've got Thunderbolts coming. And announcing the whole cast of Thunderbolts, a lot of people felt like, well, now I guess we know they all live, but I think they were trying to get people to
almost all live.
Yeah, right.
Almost all live.
Right. R.I.P. Taskmaster.
Taskmaster's chair must have gotten lost on the way to the soundstage.
How many S's are there in Johansson? Anyway, so and then for Spider-Man 4 is coming out on July 31st of 2026 and the Secret Wars in 2027. So it's crazy to think that in 2 years, guys, we might have gone through these 2 movies if they don't move the release date. So it's kind of crazy that
maybe they'll be light on visual effects.
Sure.
It's gonna be a conference table. It's gonna be a lot of heavy conversations.
It's just a very big discussion in a boardroom.
It's gonna be Galactus and cardboard. All right. Anyway, let's wrap it up there. Thank you all so much for joining us for this episode of Geek Buddies. We can't thank you enough. We appreciate you listening to us or watching us. And Shannon, what do we have to tell them?
Yeah, if you'd like to follow us on social media, on Twitter, it's @geek_buddies, on Instagram at @the_geek_buddies. If you'd like to follow me on social media, on Twitter, it's @Shannon_McClung, on Instagram, at Shannon the Geek Buddy. If you'd like to follow Mr. Vogel, it is @MKToon. If you'd like to follow Mr. Rocha, it is @The Rocha Says.
Mikey.
Smash that like button below. Subscribe to Johnny's Outlaw Nation page. Check out all the amazing content he has got there. Leave your comments below. What do you think of us being grumpy about director's chairs? What do you think about us thinking that was maybe a good idea with the director's chairs? Let us know below. What do you think of Snow White? What do you think of Harry Potter? Let us know everything. Where do you think Doomsday is going to go? If you're listening to us on a podcast, go ahead and leave us some stars and comments. We'll go up in the rankings. And as always, the best thing you can do is retweet this video, post it on your socials, send it to your friends, tell them to hang out with your buddies, the Geek Buddies. And holy shit, Shannon, that's horrifying. Stop moving your camera.
Amazing.
I talk with my hands.
And of course, for those of you who don't forget about Magic Mind, our big deal going on with Magic Mind right now. If you have a limited offer you can use now to get you up to 48% off your first subscription or 20% off your one-time purchases with code BUDDIES20 at checkout. You can claim it at www.magicmind.com/BUDDIES. All right, that's it from us. Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves, and we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode of The
Geek
Buddies.